Hello, what up my people? Welcome back to my channel once again. So today I'm going to be sharing my trade recap on gold, and I will be sharing 5 trading days. And today we'll be starting from Monday 29th of September 2025 to let's confirm and be sure of the date as we always do. 29th September to October 5th on Sunday. Okay, let's see. October 3rd, sorry, October 3rd, 2025. That's Friday. That's 5 trading days. So going back to the start of Monday, that's September 29th, 2025. Okay, so coming into the market, Asian session, this is actually a 2 a.m. trade that I actually catch. Now, why did I actually catch this particular trade? I caught this trade on the 1 hour time frame. Now we'll go to the 1 hour time frame to see what happened. So if we're at the 1 hour time frame, now how I caught this trade. This is a clear order block on the 1 hour time frame. Clear order block. And what I was waiting for after the rally, the first rally at around 1 a.m., I was waiting for a retap of this particular level. And if you notice, this order block is actually below my psychological level. So my take profit surely would be at the next psychological level, next reaction level. And that was what happened. So when I saw this particular trade, I actually marked my order block and went back straight to my 5 minutes time frame to see a precision, to see if the precision will be very tangible enough for me to capitalize on. And that was what happened that very day. As you can see, on the 5 minutes time frame, we had a lot of consolidation that made it created a clear order block. And when the market came, we also have a nice order block on the 5 minutes time frame. And when the market came, tapped into that order block and gave us a straight 6:1 RR. It's supposed to be a 7:1 RR, but making sure that I'm not that kind of person that puts by tightening my stop loss because I want to be this kind of sniper entry. No, I allow my trades to breathe, and luckily enough, I was able to catch a nice 7:1 RR. I've been saying this based on my recaps all this while, and based on the data I've been able to gather. I've been saying this that most of these particular trades, especially on gold, recently they move on Asian session. You see, forex as a whole is a mind game, and most of the algorithm has already known that most of the people don't capitalize on Asian session anymore. So they mostly use Asian session to rally up and probably come to London session and give them little movement, and at the end of the day it ends up taking a lot of people out. So recently I've been capitalizing on Asian session and it has been working for me. Now if you look at here, this is London session. London session starts from here, from this particular level here to this level. Would you compare the movement of this particular Asian session to this London session? London session was choppy. Now look at the New York session that most of the people capitalize on. Also very choppy, very choppy. So most of the time you have to look for things that most of the traders are not doing, and the algorithm has known it already because it reads people's mind. The algorithm reads people's mind. That is why trading is not all about strategy most of the time. Yeah, you have to have your strategy, but you need to capitalize on the mind game. What people are not doing much, you capitalize on it, and trust me, you're going to get a nice result. So that was what happened on that Monday, my first trade, and I didn't bother trading on London session anymore. Yes, if I wanted to trade, I would probably use this particular OCL and wait for it to mitigate back. Can you see? 8:45 a.m. I would have catch this particular trade around 8:45 a.m. If I say I want to go to the next psychological level, the way I trade, if my movement have broken this particular level, I would have been on break even. And what would the market do? Come back again and take me out on break even. Can you see? The algorithm has readed that most of the people are now mostly break even traders in London session, also in New York session also. So most of the time I look for trades around both Asian session, London session and New York session. What I do now is I mostly take one trade on Asian session. Then if I don't see a clear setup on London session, I don't trade. If I also don't see a clear setup on New York session, I don't trade. So that way Asian session would have given me a nice confidence to actually decide not to trade as a whole in that whole day and move out with my profit. So that was what happened on that Monday, and I didn't trade again. So let's take the session out. So moving to the next day, Tuesday started off at this particular point here. And if you also look at Asian session for Tuesday, can you see what happened? At around 1:05, let's say the market started moving at around 150, same as well 2 a.m. The market got a lot of volume, but I didn't trade because I didn't see a clear setup. I decided not to trade that very day on Asian session. And when it got to London session, let's bring our session back. Can you see London session? Immediately it broke this level, this reaction level. It started moving massively. Why is it moving massively? Now we need to always know that all these things, all these plays are all liquidity that the market must come and clear. Whether you like it or not, this market must clear all this liquidity. Now, I was planning to capitalize on this particular order block, but the manipulation happened before London session. Can you see? 8 a.m. But it has started moving before that 8 a.m. already. I wanted to capitalize on this high here because already it has already cleared the all-time high at this point. At that moment, this was the all-time high on Tuesday. It has already cleared it. So what I was looking to capitalize on is probably just catching this particular order block in the London session, but waiting for London session, they manipulated, and when it got to the London session, it started moving very fast. And my rule is that I don't catch falling knife. I don't catch falling knives. I have experience about falling knife. I don't catch falling knife. So what I was waiting for is the clear of all this liquidity. After clearing all this liquidity, what I was waiting for is this loan order block. Why am I waiting for this loan order block? Because this is the only order block that has a fair value, impulsive movement, a fair value gap. This order block has a fair value gap. It actually buys. After this particular order block, we saw a massive buy. And if you look at here, most of this fair value gap has been mitigated. Most of them has been mitigated. And I wasn't ready to buy on any of these particular order blocks. I wasn't ready to buy. So I was waiting for this particular 5-minute order block. And what did the market do? Came and tapped me in around 10:45 a.m. Can you see the manipulation of time? That was what they did. Manipulation of time. See, trading, you have to be patient enough. If you are not very patient, you are not going anywhere. That is one thing about trading. You have to be very patient. Very patient. You see this kind of falling knife? Just imagine that a knife is falling down and you decide to catch it. What would happen? It's either you catch it with precision or you catch the sharp place and it cuts your hand. That's why we call it falling knife. So that very day, I didn't catch this falling knife because I had experience about it. So I didn't trade all these movements. I was waiting for the clear of all the liquidity, and that was what happened on the 5 minute time frame. This particular liquidity was cleared, and immediately it gave me a nice 5:1 RR, and I cut out of this trade at around 3:05 up to the New York session. It rallied together with the New York session. I would have entered this particular trade, but I don't enter trades after 3. The moment it is 3 p.m. Nigerian time, I don't enter any other trade. No matter how sweet that setup is, I make sure I avoid those trades because there is always the next day. Always there is the next day. Forex, the market would not close the next day. The market will not crash the next day. There would surely be an opportunity for the next day. So for Tuesday, this was the only trade we took, and we caught a 5:1 RR. So going to Wednesday. Now this particular Wednesday, if you know my trading strategy, I use psychological level very, very well. I use psychological level so much that at the end of the day, most of my psychological level will either be lying on liquidity, clearing of liquidity, or probably lying under an order block, or probably lying on a double engulfing. This is what I call double engulfing: immediate sell and an immediate buy. Can you see? Very accurate, and it's also lying on my psychological level. And I was looking at the manipulation before London session. Don't forget, this same thing happened here. This manipulation happened, same thing, before London session. Now, what time did this particular thing happen? Let's say 7:30. Now, what time did this manipulation happen? 7:20 a.m. That's why you need to keep data. So what happened here? I was waiting for the clear of this liquidity. And that was what happened immediately. And I was also waiting for the clear of this particular double engulfing. So my buy limit was on this particular double engulfing candle, and that was what happened. Tapped me in and gave me a straight 4:1 RR. After I caught this particular trade, I didn't bother trading for New York session anymore, because I knew that the whole volume for that particular day is on this London session. That is, if you have enough data for you gold. You know that most of the time when the volume happens on London session, don't expect a lot of volume on New York session. And that was what happened on Wednesday. We caught this on the London session, and we caught a nice 4:1 RR. And we cut out of this trade at around 8:50 a.m. and we are done for that day. 8:50 a.m. I'll be dropping my before and after on these particular videos also, so that you guys have an idea of how I caught these trades. So after this particular trade, we didn't trade again. We moving into Thursday. Okay, so for this particular trade here, if I wanted to trade for New York session, I would have catch this trade. But no, I know what they call greed, and preserving your capital for the next day is the best thing you can do in trading. Best thing you can do for yourself, preserving your capital. You don't have to catch every movement in the trade on this particular chart. You must not catch every movement, unless if you allow your greed attitude to drive you. That way, yes, you can catch everything and also lose everything at the same time. So that was what happened on this particular day, Wednesday. We caught a nice 4:1 RR. So going to Thursday, on the Asian session for Thursday, we didn't see any clear setup. For me, I didn't see any clear setup, and moreover, the volume was not there on Asian session for Thursday, and I was waiting for London session. So now this is what happened for London session. It was very funny this very day. Very funny. very funny. Let me explain what happened. I was actually capitalizing on this order block. I was capitalizing on this order block that I was going to sell. But after the clear of the order block, I decided not to actually enter that trade again. I was waiting for probably a break of this psychological level, then maybe buy. But manipulation happened that very day. It sold massively, sold very massively. So what I was waiting for was probably the clear of this particular liquidity area here. After I saw this clear of this liquidity, had it been it closed with a body candle, I would have decided that we are still bullish. Yes, I would have decided. You know, one thing about this market is that what I see and what you see would surely be different. We all have different mindsets and we all have different data. We all have different experience. I would have been looking for a body candle closure here, but I didn't see a body candle closure. So I was waiting for a mitigation of the 0.5 level. So I marked from the top of this level to the bottom of this level. Can you see what happened? And my sell limit was at 0.5 level. And what did the market do? Gave me a little reaction after it tapped into the 0.5 level. Can you see? Gave me a little reaction and decided to take me out. After it took me out that very morning, lost 1%, I was also capitalizing that, okay, since this sell did not work, what I would do is I will be waiting for break of this particular level here. And the moment I see the break, I will be waiting for a retest. Because I knew that since it didn't sell, probably it's buying. And that was what I did. So I drew my table. After the break of this level, I was waiting for a retap. Can you see? Precision. Very sweet trade that very day. The moment I caught this next trade, my psychology came back. Because after losing this trade, I was so tensed and I was like, why? What's happening? That is trading for you. And that was what happened. After the break of the level, can you see, only came to retap within short period of time, and I entered this trade at around 9:45 a.m. After the manipulation at around 9 a.m., 9:45 a.m., I entered the second trade. Can you see at this candle? That was when I entered. The before and after, I will be dropping it on this particular video. So, and that was what happened, and boom, the market tapped me in and started going so gently. I had to leave the chart and just set my alert. And the moment it hit take profit, I saw the alert that yes, it has hit take profit. And that was what happened that very day. I was able to catch a nice 5:1 RR on this particular trade. And coming to New York session, let's turn on the session tab so that you have idea of what happened here on the second trade. So after take profit and I was seated on the chart, I saw this particular loan support here. Now this support, I was supposed to wait for the market to come to this support and tap me in, but I saw this candle, this hammer candle, and this second confirmation was the reason why I entered the market. Can you see on this candle confirmation here? And after I entered, the market rallied and almost took me out. But at the end of the day, the market started going my way, and it also gave me a nice 2:1 RR. It's supposed to be a 3:1 RR, but you know, I always allow my trade to breathe. And after I took profit, another falling knife. Another falling knife happened that very day. That's Thursday. Another falling knife happened that very day. And that was how I finished that very day on Thursday with a nice 2 TPs and 1 SL. And moving to Friday. Friday was very funny also. Very, very funny also. This particular trade was was actually a London session trade. I was supposed to wait for London session, but being that I always look for manipulations, sometimes time manipulation, not the market manipulation, time manipulation. You need to gather data on time manipulation also. Sometimes it's not all about the technicals. You have to gather time manipulation. Now, this is what happened here. This is what happened here. After the break of this psychological level, it didn't break the way I expected. And normally, my strategy is that if the market did not break my psychological level with impulsive movements, I would be looking for sales. Because if it did not break with impulsive, if it did not break with a large volume, that means that level cannot be broken again at that session. So I was waiting for the manipulation. If you look at the time I entered this trade, it was around 6:45 a.m. Let's just say 7 a.m. And the market gave me a little reaction as if it's going to calm down, and boom, it took me out. Now, I always say this thing on my trade recap. If you watch my trade recap, the ability for you to change your bias the moment you go through a loss is the biggest and strongest mindset you would have in Forex. The ability to change your bias. If that very day you're looking for sales, the ability for you to change your bias immediately you take one loss, that ability, you can't get it anywhere. You have to go through a lot of data to get that. A lot of data, a lot of experience, a lot of chat time before you can get that kind of experience. And that was what happened. Immediately I experienced this particular loss. What I was waiting for is, since I am in New York session, I am in London session, I was waiting for this low to be cleared out. Liquidity. And that was what happened. The market cleared the liquidity and volume came in. After the clear of this liquidity, volume came in. And that was how I caught a nice 5:1 RR. Can you see? Simple strategy. Very simple. This is a loan order block here that probably some would have capitalized on to want to take trade from there. But this particular liquidity is lying on my psychological level. This psychological level, I always call it psychological level because it's also psychological, but you can also call it a reaction level. You see, if I have a trade that reacted out of this level here, does not mean I'm going to take this level out. No. It will still be there. Anytime the market comes to this level, it will still react. It would still react. So most of the time, if you look at my charts, let me zoom out my chart so that you have idea of what I'm saying. If you look at my chart, this psychological level have all been marked on the higher time frame. Move to a lower time frame, adjust them. Move to 15-minute time frame, adjust them. Move to the 5 minutes time frame, adjust all those reaction level. And that was what happened here. And we caught a nice 5:1 RR on Friday. And that Friday we caught this trade to New York session, and we did not take another trade again. And we lost one and we won one that very day. So we got 5% here and we lost 1% here. So we closed the day with 4%. So that is one good thing about trading. The ability for you to change your bias immediately you experience a loss in one particular session. You see, this particular loss now happened in, let's say, London session, and in New York session, I've changed my mindset that I'm not selling anymore. I'm looking for buys. And immediately the market cleared this liquidity, I was ready to strike. And that was how we finished this particular week with some nice trades. So let's count the trades that we took this particular week. So this was our first trade, 7:1 RR. 1 TP, 2 TP, 3, 3 1, 4 1, 5 1, 5 2, 6 2. So we caught 6 TPs and 2 SL, and that was how we finished this week in good percentage. So thanks for watching my trade recap, guys, and I'ma see you guys on the next one. Peace out.